So you've saved up your down payment. You've been to the bank to be pre-qualified. You're ready to start looking at houses. Whoa, 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 whoa. Have you thought about closing costs? Do you know how much money on top of your down payment it's going to cost to get into this house? That's what we're talking about today, and it's going to start right now. Hi, my name is Derryanne Hubbard, and I'm a realtor with Century 21 and Okanagan Valley Living in Vernon, British Columbia. If this is the first time to my channel, why not subscribe below? So today we're going to talk about closing costs. How much money do you need on top of your down payment to close this house? Closing costs will depend on each individual buyer and the home that they are buying. So I'm just going to do an overview of what potential closing costs could be. So first you'll have legal fees. So you need a lawyer to close the purchase of your home. So I quote legal fees roughly between $1,000 and $1,500. And the reason that can vary, it depends on how much mortgage you register against the title. There's a fee per $1,000. So obviously the more mortgage you register against your title, the higher your legal fees will be. Next, there is your tax adjustment. You have to pay for any months that you live in a property in the calendar year. So if you take possession of the property in beginning of November, you need to pay for November and December's property taxes. The seller will have already paid for the entire year, so you will have to credit him back. Now, if you take possession at the end of February, the seller has lived in the property for January and February, and he will credit you for those 2 months. And then on July 1st, you will pay the entire year's worth of taxes, but you will have received that credit. If you are buying a brand new property, you could pay goods and service tax, the GST. So if it has never been sold before, it's coming directly from the builder or developer, GST will be owing on that property. GST is a federal tax. It is 5% of the purchase price, but there are rebates available. You'll probably not pay that full 5%. And the final closing cost is PTT, Property Transfer Tax. This tax is only applicable in British Columbia and Ontario, so we have many buyers coming to BC from Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba who have never heard of this tax before. The PTT is 1% on the first $200,000 of purchase price, plus 2% on the balance of the purchase price. So it can be a substantial amount of money. Now, just as a side note, if you are buying a brand new house and you have GST applicable, up to $750,000, you will not have property transfer tax. They don't have both of those on brand new properties. You'll just pay the GST. But for everybody else buying a used home, you will pay property transfer tax unless you're exempt. So how do you get to be exempt? You have to fulfill a number of requirements. And I'll just list a few of the obvious ones. If you have never owned a property any time in your life, anywhere in the world, you may be exempt. That's one of the qualifications. You have to have lived in British Columbia for 12 months prior to the closing. You have to be buying a principal residence. So if you're buying an investment property or a rental property, you will pay PTT. You will not be exempt. And you have to live in the property for 12 months after you purchase. So there are some other qualifications, and real estate agents are not property transfer tax or GST experts. So it is a legal issue that has to be fully discovered before you make your purchase, because at the time of closing, PTT will be owing unless you are exempt. So that is a quick overview of the closing costs that you will have to pay when you purchase a property. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe and click the little bell so that you'll get notifications. I make videos every week on all things real estate and living in the Okanagan.